So we should not mess with the principles and culture of the world. We should leave that. Neither governments nor companies should mess with that, but leave it to the goodwill of and judgment of people,
individuals and
to
individual
make
companies and boards to whether to adopt to those standards.
Exactly.
I agree with you so far.
Yeah,
very good.
We should pick up principles and apply them and adapt them in our context.
Correct. So see that that is what dharma is.
And that is true inclusion, and that is true equity, and that is true dharma.
That is, I don't, ESG छोड़ देते हैं, एक मिनट धार्मिक governance बोलते हैं एक second के लिए, but that is what it is.
Exactly.
After, you know, whatever talking about the science and the act of creation and all the morals and everything, when Arjuna is asking Krishna, in the 18th chapter he says, I have told you everything that could have been done. Please make a choice.
Exactly.
He's not being coercive.
He's not forcing.
He's not telling you, I'll screw you up and throw you in hell if you don't listen to me, which is unlike the Christian God and the Islamic Allah, who basically throws people in hell if they are not going to follow one or the other's principles. But here is Krishna himself saying that you do whatever you want to. I have given you a framework to think about it. As long as this is a framework for people to follow, I agree, we may have forgotten our dharmic principles while doing business. And yes, we need to look at that, which may have welfare, which may have social welfare, people welfare, environmental welfare. But even the permission to mess with the environment is a choice in the hand of individuals. There can be regulation for it. That's perhaps.
No, in the end, everything is a choice. You know, this is like one more tool. It's a weapon. Like in India, we used to have those, astras. This is one more weapon, astra, in our to our use. We can use it for good. We can use it for bad. Unfortunately, some people end up using for very few people end up using for good. Most end up using for bad, either in the form of greenwashing or coercing or prescribing to others. But that's not how it needs to be used.
Good conversation. I think where you and I agree that there is a sort of a dharmic framework, whether I hate your usage of the word ESG. I think you should define your own, take the leap, be a leader and help India define its own ESG 2.0, whatever standards, where S does not mean transgenderism and DEI and whatever else.
We can certainly think of a better word. Life is a very good framework.
Yes, we were talking about it.
Yeah,
I think there is an opportunity for people like you who spent all your life and career in building in governance frameworks and things and your skill. I absolutely think you should take the lead and wish you all the best in doing this. And I think we also agree that this needs to be suggestive, not prescriptive, certainly not coercive. You agree with that?
Absolutely not.
Then we can happily close this conversation
coming back to the principles, 12, right?
Okay.
One of the principles of ESG is do no harm, which is again a dharmic, origin in that, which is an Indian origin. That if we do violence, which Mahatma Gandhi used to talk about non-violence, right? So if we do violence to whether it's nature or to other people, it can never be ESG, or to ourselves, it can never be ESG. So violence, if somebody is prescribing or forcing us to apply any of these concepts, that itself is premised on violence, and therefore it's not ESG by definition.
Okay. So once again, suggestive, whether somebody builds arms and engages in what somebody else may judge as violence, in my view, it's okay, because that's there. There will always be wars. Somebody will always be engaged in building weapons.
So violence, again coming to violence for defending ourselves, even the law allows it. In self-defense, we are allowed violence, but violence to kill others just for the sake of killing is illegal, is not.
Fair enough. Yeah, anyways, that comes under general law of countries and whatever else. So it will fall within
and the dharmic definition is also this, right? If you have to defend, Krishna was saying the same thing, that if you have to defend your rights, you have to fight.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we should not fight. So it's the same.
Well, people judge Krishna on coercing Arjuna to pick up his weapon and fight. They blame him, but of course he didn't. He actually left it to him.
Exactly.
In the end.
So in the same way, I think the choice is ours. I strongly believe. So Rahul, great, we have consensus. I strongly believe that it is the science behind ESG, whatever name we may call it. Life or dharmic way of doing business. But the science, the principles, they hold true. If we want to build a long-term sustainable business that continues to create value for the owner, promoter, all the stakeholders and the society, there is no other way you can build it without these principles. Because it's the principles that we have to focus on, not the frameworks. Frameworks are only a map. It's like a dashboard on the car. The dashboard can sometimes help us, sometimes it, we don't drive the car looking at the dashboard all the time. We drive car looking forward. Dashboard is only once in a while we see how we are doing. Is there an engine failure or some oil that's gone that we need to fill up? So dashboard has a limited use. We should not make it an end all.
Cool. I agree with you that we need a dharmic framework for companies in India. What they choose to pick up from that, what is most important to them, is left to their choice, as I understand you, or where we have consensus.
Exactly. And each industry will have their own, and each company within that industry will have their own.
And we should export this to the world.
100%, absolutely. Because we've been championing it for thousands of years. I think the world needs to see, and I think the world appreciates it. If you look at the ancient travelers, Hun Sang, and others who came, there are so many records, whether people coming from Europe or Asia, that India was living in a welfare society. It was always a welfare society and leading in financial terms also for a long time.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into welfare and open up another conversation.
Yes.
But yes, we were in a massive knowledge society.
Yes.
For sure, where we were following a lot of our own frameworks of what we
and principles.
call dharma. And
principles.
Yes, that I agree with. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Vipul, for having this conversation. Perhaps, first of possibly many conversations as both you work on your framework, on your new book. Hopefully that comes out soon.
Which will be about the principles, the 12 principles. Thank you.
And based on dharmic values. Do you have a title already?
The Science of ESG.
The Science of, please name it something else.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank you. Good luck to you.